All praise and honor is most certainly due to the Most High, the God of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Peace to you in the name of His Son Jesus. I count it truly a blessing each and every single time that I can come before the preach the word of God. And never do I count it as a light thing to do so. All right, brothers and sisters, I know it's late, but in this lesson I wanted to get one in today. This lesson is concerning the roots of idolatry. Roots of idolatry. It is clear that God is real and that He exists, and we know this through the creation. That's when we read in Psalms, the 19th division. That song tells us, it's a Psalm of David, and it tells us that the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament show His handiwork. So when you look at the creation, it's clear that God exists. But so the question we should have really is where does idolatry come from? And I want to read something that Paul wrote. I'm not going to keep you long. This is Romans, the first chapter, in verse 18. Paul writes, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness." Okay, so right here and there, he says, basically, the whole world is guilty because they have a particular truth and they're holding this truth. They are possessing this truth in unrighteousness. So the question we should ask, which is going to be answered in the following verses, is what truth does mankind have? Verse 19, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has showed it unto them. So there's been a universal, it's not just some people know, there's been an actual universal revelation to all of humanity, actually throughout all of time. So again, in verse 19 reads, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has showed it unto them. For the invisible things of Him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even His eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So, brothers and sisters, mankind does not have any excuse not to serve the true and living God. Why do I say this? Because the evidence of His existence is already proven. Proven through what? Through creation. Again, verse 20, for the invisible things of Him from the creation of the world are clearly seen. That's why you have to jump through hoops in order to deny the existence of God. You have to say we evolved from lower species. You have to find a common ancestor. And then you have to change your theory time and time again. I think about that often, how, atheists have to change what they believe and try to explain our existence time and time again. And yet this word stays the same. This word stays the same. The creation is evidence of God. Your own existence is evidence of God. It is clear that God exists, but man, what he has done is he has denied that. But that is a universal revelation. He came unto the nation of Israel directly. He told you, Jesus said, the one who created the world said salvation is of the Jews. But there has been a universal revelation of God through the creation. So again, he says, for the invisible things of Him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even His eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So man does not have an excuse not to seek the true and living God. And when you seek Him, He will manifest Himself unto you. It's not like he won't show Himself unto us. We're going to get to the roots of idolatry. All right? So it says, because that when they knew God, they glorified Him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. So what man did was, as you see constantly, is did not believe. And belief is shown in a lot of ways. Belief is shown through atheism, agnosticism, but it's also shown through idolatry. Verse 22. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. And you can be nothing but a fool if you reject God. If you reject the Creator, you are a fool. You are a fool. Listen to what man did, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and for the beasts and creeping things. So what did they start doing? They started dealing in idolatry. See, you can take a piece of wood, a piece of, and the irony is that you're actually taking a part of the creation, fashioning it in a form that comes out of the vain imagination of your mind, and then worshiping it, claiming that it's God. And then you're imposing, again, from the vain imagination of your mind, these characteristics upon this false image, upon this false God. So what has man done? So when you reject God, now you can do anything. And that's also a part of the root of idolatry. The root of idolatry is here. We're reading about what man did. They rejected God. They didn't believe, even though he is clearly shown, his existence is clearly shown through the creation. And see what man does not want to do. Man does not want to acknowledge God, because if you acknowledge God, you must bring yourself into subjection to what that God requires of you. You must deny the flesh. Man does not want to deny the flesh, thus he worships idols. That's what man does. So he said, wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. So now you are engaged in all types of wicked behavior. And that's what happens. You read in Genesis 6 where he said, it repenteth me that I have made this man. His heart is only evil continually. The imagination of his heart is only evil continually. It repenteth me that I have made this man. I will destroy him from the face of the earth. See, everybody's guilty. Nothing has changed. So he said, wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness to the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. So man has rejected God. When you reject God, you also reject his laws, his statutes, his commandments, his mitzvah, his Torah, his instruction. Then it says, for this cause God gave them up to vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. So now you are engaged in all types of sexual licentiousness. You're engaged in sexual debauchery. Here we're seeing lesbianism. It goes on to say, and likewise, also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burning their lust one toward another. Men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meat. So now you have men and men dealing with each other. Homosexuality. That is a sign that you have rejected God. That is total rebellion against the glaring apparent design of man and woman. It is clear. See, you don't need a Bible to tell you that a man is for a woman. How do you know that a man is for a woman? Because natural law tells you this. When a man and a woman comes together and fruit is born, that shows the appropriateness of a man and a woman. You should not have two men together. You should not have two women together. He made them male and female, and the fruit again shows the appropriateness of this. When you have two men together and two women together, this is a naturally sterile relationship, and it is bringing about confusion. And it is literally violence against one's own body. That's why he tells you. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burning their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet or fitting. That is an error. That is an error. When you look again, your design, and it is rebellion against God, it is against the design of God. When you look at what is in man, the seed is in man. He tells you everything after his own kind. The seed is in man. The woman is the earth. You plant the seed in the woman and you bring forth fruit. It is not rocket science. The animals know what to do. Even the animals, for the most part, follow this, right? So it says, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. See, again, you rejected God, so you dwell in darkness, so you don't even know what you are supposed to be doing. So you engage in all type of inappropriate sin. He made you to be God, children of the Most High God. He didn't make you to be a homosexual. He didn't make you to be an idolater. He didn't make you to be an adulterer. He didn't make you to be a thief. He didn't make you to be a murmurer. He didn't make you to be a liar. That's not what he made when he made you. He made you in his image and in his likeness. He made you male and female and said, be fruitful and multiply. And the design is apparent. You do not exist unless you have a man and a woman that came together. But now all of a sudden, men are supposed to be with men and women are supposed to be with women. It is rebellion against God, but it goes right along with the idolatry because it is the rejection of God that leads to idolatry, that leads to illicit behavior, that leads to sin. It is the root, is the fulfilling of the flesh. You want to make your own God, but what you made is not God. So it says, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful. See, you that's not what he made when he made you. That's what you become. He said, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. Jeremiah, the 10th chapter. So here we see this great prophet, this mighty prophet Jeremiah. In this book, we read about idolatry. And let's see some things that are said here. This is Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, and verse 1. It says, hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. So now he's talking to the people that he came unto directly. And he's telling you, don't learn the ways of these other nations. See, he did manifest himself unto one people. He came down on Mount Sinai. The mountain was on fire. He manifested himself unto these people. So he said, thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. Now he's saying the customs, right? Well, what they do is for naught. What do they do? For one cutteth the tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. So now this is talking about idols. Sometimes you come in and say, well, that's talking about a Christmas tree. This is talking about idols. Okay? It says, they fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good. So now you see, we saw the roots of it. It is born out of rebellion and rejection of God's existence. So now you see what man does. And he's telling you, this is vanity. He says, they are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good. They can do nothing. It is not God. This is a part of the creation of God. It comes out of the vain imagination of the man's mind, and it is vanity to engage in it. But again, why do they do it? Because you rejected the true and living God, and in thus rejecting the true and living God, you begin to engage in all types of illicit behavior. That goes right along with the idolatry. He says, for as much as there is none like unto thee, O Lord, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. See, there's none like the true and living God, but man wants to make his own God. He doesn't want to be in subjection. So it says, who would not fear thee, O King of nations? For to thee doth it appertain. For as much as among all the wise men of the nations and in all their kingdoms, there is none like unto thee. There is none, all praise to the Most High. There's none like him. But what about this idolatry? It said, but they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. So you know what brutish means, right? He's calling you stupid. When you deal in idolatry, an idol is not God. So what have you just become? You've become a fool. You become stupid. It's stupid. He says, silver spread into places brought from Tarshish, and gold from Uphaz, the work of the workman and of the hands of the founder. Blue and purple is their clothing. They are all the work of cunning men. So they have craftsmen. They have skill. That's when it says cunning. They're skillful. So they're making these things and out of skill, right? But he says something. But the Lord is the true God. He is the living God and an everlasting King. At his wrath the earth shall tremble, and the nations shall not be able to abide his indignation. See, wrath is coming ultimately upon man for his disobedience, for his rebellion. Understand that, brothers and sisters. Thus shall ye say unto them, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. So you listen, all these idols is going to perish right along with you. He had made the earth by his power. He had established the world by his wisdom and has stretched out the heavens by his discretion. That's what God has done, the true and living God. So again, verse 14, he says, every man is brutal. So he calls you dumb again in his knowledge. Every founder. Right? Every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. That idol is nothing. They are vanity and the work of errors. In the time of their visitation or judgment, they shall perish. So, brothers and sisters, just to recap, man is guilty because there's been a universal revelation to all of mankind. The universal revelation is what was created. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That proves that God exists. But man turned to darkness. Man rejected God, and in rejecting God, he actually made his own God, made idols. And right along with the rejection of God, see, when you reject God, you reject his law. You reject his law. See, like I was talking about earlier in Psalms, the 19th division. In Psalms, the 19th division, when it said, the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament makes sure of his handiwork, he goes on talking about the creation. But then in verse 7, it says something. It says, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. Why does it go from the creation to the law? Because once you acknowledge that there is a God that created all of this, the next logical step, brothers and sisters, is to question or to inquire, to find out, to ask this true living God that you know exists, what does he require of you? And he has manifested that unto us, and we have it even preserved unto this day, and he has shown it through his word. And it has always been there. The Torah has always been. So with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you, we at the Household of Faith meet every Sabbath at 5925 West 25th Avenue in Gary, Indiana, at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We live stream around here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel, as well as at www.israelteach.org. If you've been edified through the ministry, you can leave a donation on our website. Again, www.israelteach.org. 100% of the proceeds go to the work of the ministry, and we are truly thankful for those who support and donate. We truly are thankful. We praise the Most High for you and for what you've done. And with that, also, I want to remind you that we have Bible study every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the personal meeting ID number for that is 845-710-8849. Again, our Wednesday night Bible study, the personal meeting ID number is 845-710-8849. We also have a Q&A Friday night Bible study at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, that's every Friday night. We have a Q&A, question and answer Bible study at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the personal meeting ID number for that is 602-961-1318. Again, that number is 602-961-1318. And finally, there are books that I've written available on Amazon.com and other places where books are sold. Those books are Into Egypt Again with Ships, The Pagan Origins of Christian Holidays, Hair Like Wool, Feet Like Burned Brass, killing black innocents, For then shall be great tribulation, in defense of biblical polygyny, the feast days, a shadow of things to come, and the latest book that just was published, Sex, Marriage, and the Bible. And with that, brothers and sisters, it's always my prayer that you will edify.